I am joined by 110 SASS actual Mr. Cody Curry.
CIA or something? I was like, no, bro. Like, no, I'm a hillbilly from Indiana-Ohio borderline.
That's
like,
exactly what a CIA spook would say. If the apocalypse ever happens, everyone always talks about SHTF.
yeah.
You know what there's going to be a bunch of? Prostitutes and mercenaries.
Yeah.
Those bag of potatoes ain't free.
Yeah.
You either got to kill someone for them, or you gotta do some carnal pleasure.
I mean, no disrespect to any attractive people who are uninteresting.
Any hot girls out here watching this, you'll be fine. Gentlemen, pimpin' ain't easy, and it's made possible by fantastic sponsors. Sponsors such as Americana Pipe Dream Apparel, fantastic young Zoomers getting after it in the Milsurp space and arena. They will have all your Milsurp equipment and needs to take your LARP to the next level. Night vision, knives, manuals, clothing of all sorts. Big thank you to them. We also have to thank Optics Planet. Optics Planet, of course, also being the optics sponsor of Managerial Outcomes. They want to give you a discount being 7% off the entire store using code LARP. Now, we also have to give a big thank you to Von Armor, having battle belts, plate carriers, soft webbing on their website, along with backpacks. Very good stuff for carrying tools and equipment. And they will also have a discount for using Ep.10 at checkout. So, of course, a big thank you to Von Armor. Gentlemen, welcome back to the Managerial Outcomes Podcast, a podcast that technically falls underneath the Corporation of Administrative Results, but is at war with administrative results. Currently, things are going pretty bad, and the nuclear option is on the table. I am joined by 110 SASS actual Mr. Cody Curry. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, man.
Typically, I like to knock out the big four talking points. Money, sex, religion, politics. Let's just knock them out. Money, how are we?
In terms of money, we have none.
Sex, how we doing?
In terms of sex, we have none.
Getting none. Religion.
In terms of religion, big lizard people control our every thoughts and our every move.
Politics.
Waste them all.
Is there another one? Is there another one we're not supposed to talk about? Like at your job, they're like, don't talk about these. It's impolite. Like HR will be mad.
Income. You're not supposed to talk about that. What is it? Sexual harassment. You're not supposed to do that, apparently.
Yeah. Apparently that's a big no-go.
They say it's frowned upon.
I feel like the workplace really excelled back when sexual harassment was good to go.
Have you ever seen Mad Men?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like we really peaked as a society with guys like Donald Draper just
Yeah.
ripping heaters all day. Absolutely stone cold drunk off what is it, triple sec, 777,
Yeah.
Canadian whiskey, and sexually harassing the entire staff.
Yeah.
For legal reasons, I am obviously kidding.
For legal reasons, this is a massive joke.
Yes, please take my dry humor not so serious.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid delivery where I was like, this is believable. This is believable, and you're going to get on so many subreddits very quickly.
Great.
Very good to have you out. Thanks for coming from, where are you?
Cincinnati, Ohio, just right on the Indiana-Ohio borderline.
Okay, well, it's good to have you out here. Your namesake being the M110.
Yeah, so it's one of the first like really cool guns I feel like I ever bought. I think it was back like 2014, 2015. I didn't know anything about like cloning guns. I didn't know anything about like what's a nice gun and what's like a bad gun. I just seen them on the internet. I seen them on, CNN and stuff like that of dudes holding off rooftops, snipers and stuff like that. And I was just like, that gun just looks good. It's just such a sexy gun. And it's got this big long tube on the end of it. It's quiet and it's tan, because back then, like tan guns were not a thing. Everything was black. Pistols were black, carbines were black. Everything was just black anno. And that was really, if I'm not mistaken, if it wasn't wood or black anno, that was like the first tan gun. So it was, I think, correct me. I'm sure you guys will correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like the first really tan gun that got fielded in the masses. And I think the SCAR came out real soon after that.
Because I was thinking about the SCAR platform. I was like, yeah, what came first? You would know. Like I would say that 110 came first.
I would say in large numbers, probably the M110, just because that was in 2007 when they got that contract.
Okay, for sure.
I think the Army called it like, it was in the top 10 best inventions of 2007 now. I don't know if it really was the best invention of the time, but yeah, so I seen it on, on the internet. You'd see it on, CNN and stuff like that. And it's just like, dude, that gun is so cool. I got to have one. But I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know who made it or anything like that. So I was just like, where do I get one? And back then, there's a lot of like Facebook groups, and I belong to a lot of them. A couple of like mid-tier snobs, and it's a very interesting group. We can get to that and talk about those, but it's a really cool community. There's also CRA, Clone Resource Anonymous, that can really help you out with that stuff. And back in those days, those weren't really available. So you couldn't just be like, post a picture of a screenshot and say, hey, what gun is this and how do I get one? Like you kind of had to research like a pilgrim, bro. Like you had to like open up a book, I mean, 2014 wasn't that bad, but it was still kind of hard to research stuff. So I found that gun. There was a gentleman out of Lubbock, Texas that had one. And I didn't really know much about them again, but this one I knew was different because there's two different types of clones, if you will, of an M110 is it's either going to be rolled SR25 on the lower receiver, or it's going to be rolled M110. Well, if they're rolled M110, that's the military designation. SR25 is going to be the civilian designation. And that's what made this one really special. And that's another reason why I bought it, was that it was the only one I could find like him. Turns out he was good friends with the dudes at Knight's Armament back in the day, and somebody made one for him, off the line or whatever. So, and then he sold it. So I had that gun since 14, and and that was like my first real cool gun. And it just kind of meant a lot to me. And back in those days, like not a lot of people had those, and there was a ton of information. So people were like, bro, are you a sniper? Are you like, did you steal that from the military? I'm just like, no, bro, I'm just some nerd with a very neglected 401k.
Hey, you me both, brother. You me both. That's something my wife gets on my. She's like, when are we gonna start investing in a 401k?
What's that?
I was like, what, sweetheart? What's a 401k? What's a Roth? I don't know.
Yeah. The Social Security, that takes care of us, right?
Anyway, here's an H car. Yeah. Anyhow.
Here's a gun chambered in $2 bills.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. Did you have the original optic for it too?
I did, yeah. So it was, I'll send you over pictures for it. We can kind of overlay it. But I had the original optic for it. That was government property, rolled underneath on the tube of the scope. There's like a civilian designation, and then there was the military designation. It was just like U.S. property or whatever. So it was 100% perfect. It was 100% cloned, but it wasn't even a build. The gun probably shouldn't have existed, but things like that get out, and not stolen from the military. Things that just, friends of friends get through the guys at Knight's Armament or something like that. It's like, hey, we'll make you one off here, just don't get rid of it. Well, maybe he fell on hard times or whatever, but I'm glad I was there for it, but it's just a really cool gun. I used to take it to matches and stuff like that, and, shoot 110th out of 111 shooters with it, because I'm just that great. And people think, when you show up with a really cool gun, you're like, oh my God, this guy must be able to shoot. And it's like, no, I just made poor financial decisions. I just like to dig holes into berms, the right edge, because, just like Einstein said, don't expect, what's he say? If you expect different results doing the exact same thing, that's the definition of insanity. And, I take that seriously. It's something like that. I can't remember. I respect. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah, something. I can't remember. But hey, I'm not an Einstein either. I graduated elementary school, got my grade 4, and hit the road, man. Yeah, because you do a little bit of the agrarian working, so it makes sense. You don't need that high level of education. You got to know the crop yields, and then once you get that, boom, you're out. Yeah. When do we sow the earth, and when do we harvest? That's all I need. Yep. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Oh, geometry? I mean, I need to know the layout of my field. Thanks. I'm out. What's cool is the tractors now, they all have GPSs in them. They know your field. So you just type in what you're doing, and literally you just sit there with a 30-pack of Busch Light and just get hammered drunk in the combine. And the tractor does everything for you. Is that even like, I'm not trying to sound like a nerd, but would you get in trouble for that? Because we definitely don't drink and operate tractors. Hypothetically speaking. If somebody did so, I'd say it's operating motor vehicle. Yeah. But also, too, it's on private property. So I don't know the legalities of it. But so I think in most places you can catch a DUI on private property. You probably. But you have to get caught first. Yeah. And then even then it's like, hey, dude, do you want to eat?
This is my process. I'm an artist. I grow the food you eat.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of funny. What grows on our farm isn't technically really much food that people eat. So it's corn and soybeans. The corn is like field corn, and it's not like the corn that you think that you would eat. So field corn is like Pilgrim stuff. What they would make, a lot of it gets exported. So like cornmeal and stuff like that. It's stuff that's like, if you think like a can of corn or corn on the cob, you're not eating the type of corn we're growing. This is like stuff that makes ethanol, certain products that aren't really meant for human consumption. But I mean, some of it definitely is. And you can definitely eat it. If you catch it early enough in the season when it's still like pretty green, you can eat it, but it's not very good flavor. And it's pretty tough stuff compared to what you would typically think corn on the cob is. Like it's sweet.
Is it like the small corn cobs?
No, they're actually bigger than sugar corn when they're fully grown.
Yeah.
But, and you let it dry out. So it's different all across the nation because every bunch of different climates and stuff. Like guys in Texas, I think they'll pick in like July, pick all their crops, July to August, if I'm not mistaken. Most of that stuff's out. Nobody starts really picking it until, if you're lucky, you can start picking in October, like mid-October, but most people don't get everything out until like November. But yeah, so that's the corn, and then like the soybeans. Soybeans are interesting because there's a lot of petroleum products that are used with like soybeans, like a lot of plastics, if I'm not mistaken, are made with a lot of soybeans and stuff. So again, not much for human consumption. I mean, you can consume them, but I don't think there's like...
Your estrogen levels are going to skyrocket.
Right, yeah. So like, I've been toning mine down a little bit here because I'm afraid, what is it, gyno? Got to lay off the soybeans,
You can get some man titties.
Yeah, man.
Your range is also on your farm, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about how in like 1,000, 2,000 years, the archaeologists are going to be digging away at your farm. They're going to be like, there was an agrarian culture here, but there was also a great battle that was fought here based off all the brass and lead.
Yeah.
It seemed like a one-way battle that maybe it was some sort of massacre, but we can't find any bodies. Like, they're not going to comprehend like a flat range that you shot on.
That is kind of funny that you think about it, yeah. Well, the good news is we document it on YouTube, so, if they ever need video evidence, they're
going to have to go back like 2,000 years into the YouTubes.
But if we have like an EMP, or whatever, and it just erases everything or whatever, the great caliphate or whatever or caliphate, I think is what they call it. Like 12,600 years ago or whatever, the meteor hit and ended the ice age.
You're talking about the Younger Dryas?
Of the what?
The Younger Dryas, where it was like the big cataclysmic event that happened like 12,000. Oh, yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
There we go. Big cataclysmic event that happened back in the day that like brought the onset of the ice age or something like that.
Yes, I think there was like a couple of them or something. Like one started it, and then one ended it, like helped end it or something like that, and then everything just kind of melted down because it got hot or something. I don't know. It's constantly warming and cooling and shit.
I may have butchered some of that, but I've been on a big kick of that where it's like the talking about the alternate, maybe ancient civilizations that no one knows anything about.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting.
I watched a podcast with Sean Ryan. I can't remember the dude's name who came on there, but it was crazy because like a lot of times you hear people talk about like aliens and like ancient, extremely technologically advanced civilizations. Sure. Like, and when you hear people talk about that, usually those kinds of people are like, maybe that dude should probably lay off the sauce or something like that. But this dude, I think he went to like Harvard and graduated from Harvard. He went to MIT and graduated from MIT. So like, dude's probably a certified genius, 15 times smarter than I am.
Sure.
And he's talking about like these ancient scrolls and stuff from thousands and thousands of years ago, and talks about like the pyramids and deciphering these scrolls and essentially gets information, builds it, and makes like a thesis or a theory, if you will, that the pyramids were used as like electricity, like wireless electricity. And it's just wild. It's just like so much stuff. And, saying like those definitely weren't built by human beings. It's not physically possible for those to be built by human beings. And it was like through vibrations or something like that, this crazy, impressive technology that we do not possess or can't even hardly comprehend gets made or is used somehow and moved these boulders. Like they were saying there's no way that it was moved because they'd have to logs and human manpower, ropes and stuff. It's like, well, we're in Egypt, bro. Like There's no trees to like cut down and like roll them up and stuff. So I don't know. It's really interesting. But yeah, that whole ancient civilization thing is so interesting to me. I wish I was more intelligent too.
I wish I was smarter at times too. From what I've watched, because I've watched a bunch of podcasts on it as well.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was a recent one I think I talked to on a previous episode on the ARMOPodcast, Kagan Dunlap. We somehow got on a tangent. And there was the Flint Dibble versus Graham Hancock talking about it. They're having like a debate on Joe Rogan. And I thought that was rather interesting. Where like the archaeological evidence from what Flint Dibble was presenting wasn't necessarily there yet for like Graham Hancock's theory. But to me, I'm still seeing a lot of stuff that Graham's showing off. And I'm like, there's still a lot of like validity to this, to my dumb brain, where I'm like, okay, if these are like very ancient structures, what was going on? And I think there's a thing where the Sahara was actually used to be like some sort of jungle back in the day.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Well, there's evidence at the Pangea, that everything shifted.
Yeah.
So, if it shifts closer or further away from the equator, whatever it was before, that would make sense that, it could have been a very fertile land that had jungles in it and stuff. And then, it moves to the equator where it doesn't rain and it's 150 degrees every day. And it becomes a barren wasteland. So I guess that would make sense for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of those ancient civilizations and like, it's in like pyramids, not just like, pyramids of Giza and stuff in Egypt, like the pyramids in Mexico and South America and stuff, and like the Mayan culture. So like he talks about the Mayan culture inherited those things and from extremely intelligent, very technologically advanced people. I don't know where they came from. He gets into it. I can't quite remember it.
Right.
But essentially stuff like that was made for like, they're directly on fault lines. There was a correlation between like the fault lines and every single mega structure, those big monolithic structures, and wireless electricity. Don't know, like Tesla coils and stuff. I wish I knew more about it, but it's really interesting. If that's up your alley, that is one you got to watch, because it got me down a rabbit hole, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm questioning everything.
Yeah.
It talks about even like angels, like stories through the Bible and stuff that say like what they thought they saw and how it got interpreted through the years and information passed down and finally written in King James and stuff, that angels had these big wings and stuff like that, but it was super technologically advanced flight on people and stuff. Like, it didn't make much sense to people primitive, and like they would just fly places or whatever. I don't know how, take it with a grain of salt, but it's just like wild to think about.
What's going on in antiquity?
Yeah.
I mean, there's the burning of the Library of Alexandria. There was also the sacking of Baghdad by the Mongols, where they burned a lot of, I think, the texts there, and that marked like the end of the Islamic Golden Age. So there's potentially a lot of history that got lost in those.
Apparently, Easter Island, Stonehenge, I think Stonehenge is on Easter Island.
No. Stonehenge is on. It's in the UK.
What's in Easter Island?
Those massive, like, they're like the massive, like, I think the night of the museum was like Dum Dum. Like those massive heads.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's what I was thinking. In Easter Island, I think it was just vandalized within the past couple of years, like to the point where like some of them were like unrecoverable, and it was kind of like a conspiracy kind of thing, that why it happened, and it was some of the damage to him was another thing this guy was saying on that Sean Ryan show was that the equipment needed to destroy some of this stuff was like just on a scale of how could it even happen. But
how do you think they did it? Do you think they were using like explosives or?
Well, I think he had said something like that, and they wouldn't have gotten away with it because somebody would have showed up.
Right.
Somebody would have put
massive booms in the distance. Like, hey, what's going on over there?
Yeah, I haven't done a ton of research about it, but I just remember he said something, and it's just like, oh God, because those were part of some ancient thing too. And I don't know.
Yeah, because some of those statues are massive.
Huge.
And they're like buried beneath the earth a little bit.
Yeah, and they haven't been able to like excavate them completely. A lot of these old ones, just because they're super protected and stuff. And LiDAR, I think, is very expensive and to use and decipher whatever information you gather from it. So it's not used a ton. I know there's in ancient civilizations, speaking with that, like they've done a lot of that over the Amazon rainforest and finding structures that have just been overgrown because it grows up so quick.
Yeah.
Who was Graham Hancock, I think, said something about it. There was an explorer, I think it was a British, French, or Spanish conquistador or whatever, explorer, that sailed through the Nile. Not the Nile, I'm sorry, somewhere through the Amazon rainforest. And he described, I think this was in like the 14 to 1600s.
I think it would be like 1500s.
Something around that time frame. He sailed over there and then went down the river and wrote about these incredible societies, like very advanced technologies, huge buildings, very complex and advanced societies, good farming and everything like that. And came through there and wrote about it, I guess, and then went back. People call him crazy or something. And then a few years later, a decade later or something, he goes back through there. All of it was gone. It was all gone, just completely overgrown. And like theory is like, smallpox. They had some sort of immunity against it, and they brought it with them to people who've never experienced it. It literally wiped them out in 10 years, and that jungle reclaimed itself extremely fast. And since there's so much Amazon rainforest, even if you fly a plane over it, you still can't see it. There could be huge megalithic, monolithic structures in those rainforests that you can't see. And you can only use it with like LiDAR. You can't just like walk the Amazon rainforest. Like you're probably gonna get eaten by a spider monkey or something, but like
by a giant snake.
Yeah, like you're gonna get wrapped up by an anaconda or something crazy, or you're just gonna wander until you die and get lost. There's some what do they call those tribes? Uncontacted tribes of people, and they throw spears at you and kill you.
It'd be a way to go, dude. You'd have to bring like some sort of conquistador force.
Yes.
Like what if Spain just reconquistas the Amazon?
Yeah. It's pretty wild. They ruled a lot of the world.
They did, man.
And now they have a little tiny spot in Europe.
It's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually the European powers through that era always had like a rise and a fall.
Yeah. Concerns me about us because we were on the rise a couple hundred years ago, even just 100 years ago, and
we were it, dude.
Things get a little weird right now.
I know. Everyone starts getting mad about imperialism. Everyone starts getting mad about colonialism until you start feeling the negative effects.
Yes.
I'm tired of paying so much in gas, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe a little imperialism should come back so the gas pump can go down.
Yeah, why does it cost me $767 for a week's worth of groceries now? Like, bro, please stop.
Yeah,
like,
hey, let's bring back a little bit of imperialism.
Yeah, something's got to change because good Lord. I just remember I bought my first house in 2017, and I was really like my first true taste of 100% independence. Like I lived by myself through college and stuff like that, but you're still kind of connected to mommy and daddy in a sense because if you fail, they got you. But if you fail, the stakes are much higher at this point because now you've got this crippling debt of mortgage over your head. And I just remember the first grocery trip I did because you buy everything. You got to get the ketchup, bro. You got to buy a broom. You got to buy a Swiffer. You got to buy mustard, all your condiments, and of course stuff to eat because you just got to stock.
Yeah.
I remember I spent like $900 and I didn't have to go back to the grocery store for almost a month and a half. And I swear, if I spent $900 tomorrow at the grocery store, I'm gonna be back in probably a week and a half, 2 weeks. Because I'm just gonna need stuff. It's just, oh my God.
It's like I will never financially recover from this trip.
Joe Exotic, man. What a hero.
He is a hero, dude.
It's an interesting cat. Quite literally.
Quite
figuratively.
Literally. Yeah. There's something to it, man. The everyday man right now is kind of getting boned on the price points. Everything's just so expensive right now.
Everything is. You're exactly right, man. It's really tough because it just seems like the middle class gets smaller and smaller and smaller every year, and there was such a wealth transfer since the Great Sickness. And of 2020.
That was our smallpox.
Yeah. But I mean, we could argue the outcome of smallpox was much more drastic.
A little bit.
Was not our bubonic plague, the great sickness of 2020. But you got to avoid the buzzwords,
Yeah.
But it's just, there was such a huge wealth transfer, and it just seems like the middle class, bro, just gets smaller and smaller and smaller every day. And it's just like your buying power. It's like, God, the only thing that's cheap anymore is water. Like my water bill's only $32 a month. Like that's the cheapest thing in life right now. I mean, granted, it's pretty important, but you know, it's like, man, and especially like our hobby. Obviously, not only are we hobbyists, but we're quite a bit of enthusiasts, if you will. Sure. You know, in fact, you've made a career out of it. Yep. And, you know, I dabble in it and just, you know, have some fun with it. But I really feel the impact of a lot of this stuff, just the cost of raw materials. Let's just talk about like the price of 5.56, bro. I mean, 2019, 2018, I remember buying cases of ammo for 18 to 22 cents a round for 1,000 rounds. I mean, sometimes you get it even cheaper if you catch it like on a cool little sale, just because, you know.
It was like what, like 200 some bucks for 1,000 rounds back in the day?
Yeah. It's just, you know, that's not bad if you really think about it.
Yeah.
And now you can't buy quality training ammo of 5.56, just like M193. Nothing special. It's going to get you like 3 or 4 MOA. Like, it's not even great. It's not great stuff. It's just the pinnacle of that ammo is that it's always going to go bang. That's the best. And that's about the most you can ask for it. You know, it's not going to cause your gun to blow up or whatever. But now it's just like, dude, you're not touching under 50 cents a round shipped. And it's just, whew, like, you know, people think like it's a golf, stuff like that is an expensive hobby because it costs $100 to go play 18 holes. It's like, well, it cost me $100 to do 3 minutes of video because I just mag dumped into trash, you know, for no reason other than entertainment. You know, it's just wild, bro. It's wild.
It definitely, you can go get your golf balls back.
Or you can just wear some cargo pants and go wander through the woods or the heather and come back with 15 more than you lost.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, man. It's tough being a gun guy right now.
Yeah.
Having all that lead, you're literally just lighting on fire. It ain't fun, man.
No. It's, and especially when you start talking about, because like 9mm is probably the biggest bang for your buck right now, as far as, because it can run out of PCCs, it can run out of, you know, you got sub guns, PCCs, and stuff like that, but you also got all your handguns, and it's roughly a quarter a round. Some, you know, you can catch it cheaper than that, but we'll just call it roughly a quarter a round. That's pretty okay-ish, but at the end of the day, it's still 9mm. You know, it's just that's the only thing that's like left that's affordable. It's like the last frontier. I mean, because everything is skyrocketed. Everything. I mean, even 22 ammo. It's like, it's kind of hard to find it. Like good quality 22 ammo that's not going to run filthy and you're going to have malfunctions every single other round. It's like 10 cents a round in some cases. Yeah. For a 22, man. Like, no thanks.
This inflation is doing us dirty.
It's doing us filthy, bro.
It's doing
filthy.
Us dirty.
Yeah. The only thing that's recession proof is gold and the oldest profession of all time. And that's OnlyFans, man.
That's true, dude.
So subscribe to my OnlyFans, guys. I'm trying to get more ammo for the next video.
On Cody's OnlyFans, he does exclusive gun breakdowns.
Yes, and if you send extra tips, I promise to show you my feet. I've got cute piggies.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do. In this economy, you got to do what you got to do.
I mean, self-worth went out the door, you know, when bread and eggs cost $15.
How did you get into the YouTube game?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question, Aaron. I had no intentions, and it's kind of strange because obviously I'm nowhere on the level that you guys are at and some like the mega giants of the industry, but
that's very nice. I'll take that. That's very nice. Thank you.
But
I don't think that way, but thank you.
It's, I mean, in retrospect, when you look at yourself, like you have to, there's a legitimate difference between like entertainment, but also legitimate influence. And like when you look at yourself, you know, I don't know, 750,000 subscribers, like, you know, you post a video and it gets 500,000 views. Like that's 500,000 people. That is substantial. It's never been easier to reach a large group of people with such little effort. I mean, just think 30 years ago, like you literally had to fly out and make rallies and talk about, you know, important things, you know, whether it's politics, you know, whether it's ideas or whatever, you know. it's pretty interesting, you know, and you have to think about yourself, like, you know, you are low-key responsible for it. It's weird to think because, you know, we're just normal people. Like, I am, you are.
Speak for yourself.
I was going to say, like, I mean, no, we've definitely got the tism. We've risen with the tism every time. What I meant to say was, you obviously are much more successful than me, but you're a normal person. You're 100% more normal person.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but give it time. Give it time.
I mean, it's interesting to think that, like, just a normal everyday person that just really likes guns like yourself, that has a legitimate influence in entertainment. And it's pretty neat because you have a platform of people that listen to you. And, you know, we were talking about this the other night, that these people, that you don't know them, but it's really interesting. And it's really cool that you don't know them, but they see you once a week and they watch you for 15, 20 minutes once a week. They have their own relationship with you. You know, they see you and they think, yeah, that's Aaron. You know, that's Admin. You know, that's cool. Yeah. Like, and, you know, play scenarios out in their head. Like, you know, if I was with him and something like that, this is what I would do. And like, they just create their own relationship with you. And it's really neat. It's really cool. But also it's almost like a level of responsibility, I guess, if you will, that, you know, to kind of like take care of those dudes and like really watch out for them and do the best that you can for them. And, you know, it's kind of when I do some of my gun stuff, I all the guns that I get, I purchase. Like I buy them. You know, I don't really hit them up for like discounts or anything like that. I don't call up the manufacturer and be like, hey, I'm gonna do a video on this. You send me a gun, sneak me a gun or whatever. I try and buy them and make it super objective and, you know, try not to like get like the high tier hype, the brands. Like, oh, this is Gucci, bro. Like, you got to get this. You got to spend all your money here and everything like that. No, because I feel it's kind of, again, like a responsibility. Granted, I've got like 140,000 people that watch me. But I feel like you just kind of, you owe it to them to be the best that you possibly can. And it's kind of interesting. But it's just, got off on a little tangent there. But how I got started in it, I guess I had some really cool guns. I never really went to like public matches because I always had my range. And so when I thought about going shooting, it's like, I know, you know, I didn't have to go to like a public range. I didn't have to go to an indoor range. I didn't have to go do a match. It's like when I go shooting, like I'm stepping outside, you know, and I'm just going to waste some ammo. And I remember I started going to matches because I got in those Facebook groups and it's a great community, things like the mid-tier snobs. Super cool community. They put on like big group events and stuff and just get together and legitimately create a community, a two-way community. And it's super important. But I go to these things and people were like, yo, bro, like, were you in the military or something? I was like, no, like, are you like, what are you, like, I've had people legit ask me if I was like, you're really in the military. Are you like CIA or something? I was like, no, bro. Like, no, I'm a hillbilly from Indian, Ohio borderline.
That's
like,
exactly what a CIA spook would say.
There was a podcast.
You think the CIA spook is going to say, oh, yeah, for sure, dude, I'm a CIA spook.
No.
On this podcast, I expose Cody Curry as a CIA spook.
The world may never know. But I went on this Big Fish Little Boat. It was like... Big Fish Little Boat is one of the guys that runs it. The page is called Tactical Turkeys, and they really liked my content. And I was very, very small then. I'm probably sub 10,000 subscribers. But they really liked the content. They're like, dude, come on, we're just going to like have like a YouTube live kind of thing, kind of podcast-esque. But they asked me, like, you know, do you have any military service or anything like that? I was like, no. And they're like, really? I was like, no, really. I'm just a hillbilly, bro. And after the podcast or the YouTube live thing went down and all the spectators weren't able to see. It was just the five of us, four of those dudes and me. And they were like, okay, seriously, bro, what's your history? I was like, no, like, I'm just a normal dude, bro. I promise. Like, like your Secret Service or stuff. I was like, no, I'm really not. But yeah, I shot a lot growing up and stuff. So people were like, you should like make videos and stuff. I was like, I know, man. Like, I'm not like, I don't have anything interesting to say or interesting to do. I just, you know, go shoot a lot. And they're like, no, just do some of your cool guns. I was like, all right. So I did it on an iPhone like 6. Yeah. An iPhone 6. I did a 14.5-inch SR25 762. I think it got like 30,000 views, and I think I had sub 300 subscribers, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I did my M110, and then I did another Knight's gun, and I did a M16A1, and then just some really kind of interesting stuff, and then I wasn't at it. I wasn't like going hard at it. Like this was like one video every like 3 or 4 months,
Sure.
and it started like people started like recognizing me on the internet and stuff. Like, oh, you're that YouTube guy. I was just like, I mean, I'm not really a YouTuber, man. Like I just, I made a couple videos, but they so, were really excited about it. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So I started going a little bit harder at it, if you will, and started like doing 2 videos every, couple months, then 2 videos a month, and then 4 videos a month. And then now it's kind of snowballed into this thing and catch a big break and get 100 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers in a couple months. It's like, whoa, this is wild.
It'll start to compound. Good thing you didn't listen to yourself.
All
All that self-talk, that negativity.
Yeah,
Not good.
I don't know. I genuinely, I never thought like I'd be that interesting to people to actually like sit and watch.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
come on, don't get cocky.
Yeah, I guess.
It's funny what you're talking about, like people feeling like they know you. Because I was watching some of your videos and I was like, oh, I feel like I know this guy now. It's like I feel like I could hang out with this guy, so I invited you out. I was like, I want to see what he's about. Turns out he's a pretty swell fella. I like this guy.
He's kind of weird, I thought.
A little bit weird, but who amongst us isn't?
We all got a little touch of the tism.
Right. If you're this deep, if you're watching this podcast, chances are you got a little touch of the GunTism.
Yeah. That's okay. I embrace it.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I truly believe it's like I would rather have a bunch of guys like that, that to some level value the Second Amendment and what its true purpose is for.
Right.
And if they enjoy this, then it's a net win. So these are my kind of people.
Yeah.
I can't talk about fantasy football, dude.
Yeah.
I love the game of football. I don't give a damn about fantasy football. I can't go to Buffalo Wild Wings and cook an afternoon watching sports ball.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm the exact same way. It's like I played sports all the way throughout school, all the way throughout high school. Baseball. I think baseball, football, basketball. I mean, I think I even ran cross country one year just to like give it a shot. It's awful. It's the worst thing ever. Running is the worst sport, in case you are wondering. It's kind of funny, like some of my homies from back home, like you grow up with, like they'll always be your homies and stuff like that. But a lot of those dudes, they're into football and stuff. And I'm just like, we go do stuff and they watch the game and stuff. And I was like, I try to, get interested. But it's just, it's just not my thing. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with liking sports. It's just, it's not my thing. Just like guns aren't some people's things. And just like knitting isn't, somebody else's thing. Reading isn't somebody else's thing. So everybody's got their own hobbies, which is awesome. Men need hobbies, bro. We need outlets to. Yeah,
I need something.
Yeah.
Women can just sit and talk.
It's fantastic.
God bless them. They can just do that. As a dude, I can't.
Could you imagine if they had hobbies as expensive as us?
Oh, thank God they don't, dude. Everyone rags on horse girls, but that's just women with hobbies.
Yes,
That's it,
yes, yeah. Because it's it's like horse girls, hairdressers, and RNs and. STNAs, like there's like the crazy matrix or whatever, but like they always have hobbies that
a little bit too expensive.
Yeah,
It's like if you get those girls into bed, it's like having a sports car in your bed, dude. Things always breaking down, costing you money. You can't do that, dude.
Yeah,
you got to get yourself a nice girl that likes to talk to her friends. All right, that's the cheapest hobby for you. Then you can enjoy your guns.
Yeah.
Don't be a dummy.
Yeah. No, my fiance, she's the absolute best, man. It's kind of funny. We talk about hobbies, and we've talked about this exact same conversation before. And she's like, "Yeah, girls just don't have hobbies." And it's just like, "Yeah, you're kind of right." Like she loves to read.
Yeah.
She really loves to cook.
You are her hobby.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, she's my number one fan, man. And she actually she does all the filming for it and everything. She does awesome. Like she's awesome at it. She's great, man.
Your HR department must be a nightmare. If you're, I don't know what's going on. If you're hooking up with your fiance or if you're with your camera person,
Oh, she's
You're
great.
romantically involved with your camera.
We are romantically
Camera
involved.
op. I mean, I would hope so to some capacity.
Yeah. No, it's super cool, man. But yeah, this exact conversation we've had before, and it's just like girls don't have hobbies. Like, you know, reading is probably the biggest hobby of like, I feel like, for females. And it's like, yeah, it's super rad because, you know, they just kind of do their own thing and read and get lost in a book. You know, fantasy, fairy, sex. It's very strange, not gonna lie. I don't know why that's the big craze right now. It's like sci-fi romance. It's super, like, it's all fairies, bro. Like, it's seriously, and it's like very in-depth sex scenes and stuff. It's pretty wild, actually. Like, you know, they're in
You
there.
are cursing me with knowledge I did not wish to have.
It's called smut, I think is what is the proper word for it.
I think what it was for the longest time is that women were always like, the average woman in average like history was trying to help her man survive. Unless they were like the highest levels of like the nobility court, then they had to help their dude survive.
Yeah.
You know, like whether it's tending to things around the cottage,
Yes.
tending to things around the cabin.
The pilgrims,
while,
man.
while the men were out there either trying to bag a deer or fend off some wild people of whatever geography they were at, or raiders trying to mess with their. I've been playing a lot of Manor Lords, okay? That's why I've had a weird interest in like village building and trying to farm.
Vikings.
Fending off raiders, dude.
Yeah, fending off raiders. Yeah, it's super interesting, man. Super interesting. So, but yeah, man, I can't give her enough credit, dude. Like, she's the absolute, first of all, best thing that's ever happened to me. It's gonna be great. Start a family and stuff like that, man. It's she films everything, never complains, man. I mean, it's awesome. It's for awesome. Like,
It's good, dude.
definitely the best thing that's ever happened in my life for sure. So it's like, it's pretty cool. It's actually weird being away from her right now because, you know, we don't spend a ton of time apart, you know, and the nature of like my job has me around the house all the time. And, you know, she actually works from home. So we spend so much time together. And it's kind of interesting because like, it's such a great dynamic because, I mean, granted, it's been 3 years or whatever. Some people say like, you know, it's a honeymoon phase or whatever, but I don't feel that way. I don't think she feels that way either. But they just never grow tired of each other's company. So it's super.
It's good. It means you picked the right one.
Yeah, you know, trial and error. You know, it's like you go on a date with a woman, and it's always like a learning experience. Like I never looked at it as like an interrogation. Like, you know, I need to figure out if this is my future mate or something, whatever you want to call it, whatever weird thing. It was always more like, what can I learn from this person? You know, like if you would just go on a date, you know, it doesn't even have to be like some fancy dinner or anything. It's like, go to the park, you know, just like hang out and talk. And you can always tell in like the first like 5-10 minutes if like this is going to be rough. Like this is forced conversation and stuff. And like, you know, whatever, like some people get nervous and stuff, but then it's like super, super forced and everything is like, it just takes so much effort. And after that date, you're just like mentally drained. Yeah. And you're just like, oh my God.
It was like your workout of the day.
Yeah.
I sentence you to 3 sets of talking to this girl.
Yeah. It's like, man,
1 minute.
I need a nap. I need a nap after that, man.
Yeah. Some girls, it's like they just, dude, it's like talking to a wall.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really cool is that, it wasn't like that. You knew like instantly. It's just like, oh, this is different.
There was something behind the eyes.
Yes.
She wasn't having like glazed over shark eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was super. It was like, whoa, this is interesting. Like, it's not too often. Like, you know, we were just talking about this the other night again. Females, like attractive females, will never know if they're genuinely interesting or not. Just because they're attractive, like they're obviously always going to get attention from men.
Yeah.
They don't know if they're actually interesting or not, whether or not they, you know, if they're a 10, like people are always going to talk to them and stuff. But like a lot of times it's like talking to a wall. It's just like, oh, I get it now. It makes sense why nobody's made you a wife yet.
Those poor girls, those poor hot girls out there, man.
Yeah.
Just suffering through life, getting free drinks and
free drinks, trophy wives, marrying billionaires and living on yachts. It must be a rough life, I'm sure. But
someone's got to do it, man.
Yeah,
someone has to win the genetic lottery for the ladies, and it's going to be them.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I mean, no disrespect to any attractive people who are uninteresting, because I'm not that interesting myself.
We can throw some shade at them, man. It's okay. we can give them some. They'll recover, dude. They'll be okay. Any hot girls out here watching this? You'll be fine.
Yeah, just make a fire selfie and get that dopamine
We can get away with talking about the ladies a lot on this channel because 98% of my audience is men.
We were talking about this the other day, man. Just like male content creation versus female content creation. Like to be a successful male content creator, I still don't think of myself as a content creator, which is weird because I guess that's what I am. But I just feel like I'm just like some dude that just makes. Like goes and plays dress up once a week for the boys, and
you and me both,
and brings a camera. Yeah, you know, and like, but on paper, this is what I am, I guess, and this is what we are. But to be successful in it, you legitimately have to offer something of value. You know, you have to be interesting, you have to be funny, you have to be cool. You gotta have personality, man. Yeah. And it's hard and both crazy easy for a female to be some sort of content creator. So it's easy because if you are attractive, you see it all the time. All the time. You don't even engage with it on social media. Like you avoid it. Like you're scrolling through the explore page on Instagram or something and you're trying to find, you know, classic military stuff and so on and so forth.
I just want to see some Americans in the Pacific.
Yes. I want to see photos I've never seen before. Like that sounds cool. But you see girls that are just like half naked. Yeah. And it's like, it's like, dude, I don't want to see that, bro. Like first of all, if I needed to see that, I'd call my fiance, bro. Cause like, that's the one I'm interested in. That's really all I care about seeing anyway. So it's like, who are you advertising for, sweetheart? Like, what do you like? I don't know.
It's all just an OnlyFans funnel. Yeah. That's all it is, dude.
And you know, I'm pretty libertarian when it comes to that. Like, I'm never going to tell them what they should and shouldn't do.
I will. Don't be a slut.
I mean, it's just, I feel like I don't have a position to tell anybody to do what they can and can't do. I feel like while I don't respect it, like if that's what you want to do, and if you want to basically sell your body for likes, cool, man, you know, do your thing. Like, I just don't want anything to do with you. Like, I don't respect you, but that's, hey, heck yeah. If that's what makes you happy, send it. Like, that's dope. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's a plague. Yeah. It's a plague, you know.
Hey, you know what? I respect those girls. Someone has to do the modified version of the oldest trade ever.
That's the truth, man.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
God bless them.
The two oldest trades, mercenaries and selling sex, man.
Selling your sex, dude. Tale as old as time. If the apocalypse ever happens, everyone always talks about SHTF.
Yeah.
You know what there's going to be a bunch of? Prostitutes and mercenaries.
Yeah. 100%.
Nature of the beast, dude. Those bag of potatoes ain't free.
Yeah.
You either got to kill someone for them, or you gotta do some carnal pleasure.
Cunnilingus.
Those bag of potatoes ain't getting. There's no cherry, baby. Unless the Catholic Church comes back around, then it ain't happening, dude. Right?
Yeah. I think something like that happens. I think we'll be in a serious state of moral decay, which we are in right now. I mean, we are in a serious state of moral decay, like through and through. I mean, it's not just like people treating each other like trash on the internet and stuff like that. Just like constant, like, I'm better than you, whatever. And just the whole social media in general is just a highlight reel. So a lot of people, I feel like, see really cool stuff on Instagram. For instance, like, I'll post a really cool gun. Like, you know, it's a cool gun. It's hard to get. It's expensive or whatever. But I wanted to share it. Like, hey, I think this is really cool. I hope you find this cool too. Yeah. And I feel like some people are like, God, this makes me feel so poor. Like, they comment that. Yeah. Like, this makes me feel so poor. Like, damn, I wish I had money. And it's like that's not what I want. It's not.
They're kind of stuck in the doomer core.
Yeah, and it's like it's not the emotion I wanted to invoke. Like, I wanted to share something really cool and like, hey, enjoy this with me. I really enjoy this. Like, check this out. Isn't this cool? Like, and I feel like people just compare themselves constantly to it on the social medias, the interwebs. But
yeah, people always talk about like they like, dude, social media is fake. It's a highlight reel. To which I say, hell yeah, it's a highlight reel. Yeah. Now watch me shoot this minigun. Like people get mad. Do you think I'm gonna post sad stuff on I'll share like sad stuff, you know, like if it's like appropriate. Like I remember talking about my dad passing away, but it's not like I'm gonna set up a camera and be like crying in the corner. Like I've seen some of those, like what girls will do. They're like filming themselves crying.
Oh my God.
I'm like, what do you do? Like, so you set up a camera, like you gotta like frame it, you know, like look at the camera, get down, and then really let the emotions take you, you know, because God, like they did a good job like letting the emotions take them. But I mean, that's just kind of what women do.
Yeah.
You know, like they're really emotional beings. So if they just sit there long enough, they'll start crying. Yeah. So they had to like set up the camera, do the whole thing, and it's like, this is not what I want to see. This is not a sick highlight reel. Yeah. If anything, go be a horse girl and show me you riding a horse like a stud. Get into horse archery. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah. A little horseback pistol fanning.
Dude, I've seen some of those girls. That's cool content.
Yeah. It is.
For the ladies out there rocking like the 6-shooter stuff, riding around on a horse, shooting balloons.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Girls crying about, you know, not being a trad wife anymore because it was too hard. GTFO.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good content.
No. I think the worst, and I feel, hopefully they got bullied out of doing this, but I remember a family member of mine was dying, and another family member, they get their phone. They hold their hand, and they always have their IV coming in here, and they got their hospital wristband.
Oh, no.
And they take a picture of it, of them holding like the person's hand that's like passing away. And it's like, are you serious? Like, are you, if
my kids did that, I'd be like, I hate you. Like, I'd be so mad.
It's really hard to get me like upset and like angry.
Yeah.
But I swear, if one of my kids or some family member did that to me and just like held my hand and be like, let me grab wait, don't die yet. Let me get my phone and snap a picture of them, hold my hand. I swear to God, I would come back from the grave and haunt your ass every single day of the week.
I would look at the nurse and say, adrenaline shot, please. Yes. I have to whoop this kid's ass. And then let me die in peace.
Oh man, it's just, I couldn't imagine like doing that and like thinking in my head, like, this is good. Yeah. Like, this is good. I need to do this.
Ooh, that's good content. Like, yeah. That's what, dude?
This is good, bro. All these people really gonna resonate. This is gonna resonate with some people, bro. And it's like, man, like, whew.
The girls that follow me are gonna get sad and they don't want to have sex with me. That's what it is, dude. That's exactly what it is. So much of it is like a mating ritual, like peacocking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey, I'm in touch with my feelings.
I'm really in touch with my feelings. Hey, if your family member's dying and you do that, I need you to like go in the mirror and look at yourself and then be like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Do a real hard eval of yourself.
I've seen that. I've seen it so many times. It's just like, oh my God, like that's the most cringe. That's high tier cringe, man.
Probably one of the worst things you could ever do.
I mean, seriously, like
if your family member is dying, you got to let that's a moment. That's like a sacred moment.
Yeah,
you got to let that happen. You got to be there for them
and celebrate.
Yeah,
and not celebrate their death, but celebrate their life and you know the impacts they've had on each person in your family and the hundreds and thousands of people they've met over their lives.
You doing one of these where it's like
gotta play the Titanic song.
Peepaw's dying.
Jack.
Rose. I've been off of normie social media. When I say normie social media, I talk about when it's your face and it's your normal everyday life. You know, it's still the highlight reels. Hey, I got a promotion. Hey, I graduated.
Yeah.
Where it was like, I've been off of that for a long time. I used to have it.
Yeah.
I got rid of it. I don't miss it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Some of the most boring stuff you ever see is just like it's my birthday and the girls holding up the balloons. Like, I'm 25.
Dressed in the most scandalous dress, leaving nothing up to the imagination.
Even if they're not like scandalous. It's still like, I'm going to be real. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, this is not good content.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yet again, I just want to see some World War II footage, if that's it.
Yep.
Like the color corrected fighter jets or fighter planes. Technically, the Germans had fighter jets, but like the fighter planes.
Yes, that's awesome.
That's the stuff I want to see. Tiffany having her 25th birthday at the Outback Steakhouse. You think I want to see that?
I'd rather not, but hey, you having fun? Some of the worst is the people that air out their dirty laundry on social media.
Yeah.
Like, talk, whatever it is, a family member or, their baby daddy or baby mama. Like, dude, they just air it out. Like, post pictures of like bruises and stuff all over them and stuff, which is awful, obviously.
Evidence of domestic violence.
Yeah, but like doing it for obvious dopamine rush of likes. And it's like why? Like, man, we used to be a proper society where we just suffered in silence by ourselves.
You bottle that up.
You just bottle that up and died.
Yeah.
Super, yeah.
Social media has probably had very detrimental effects to the society as a whole. I remember like thinking about that maybe YouTube could be my escape from working a real job. Mm-hmm. That's when I was like, oh, this thing is pretty, I mean, it's done a lot of good for me, a lot of net positives. But if you use it wrong, it's definitely more of a headache.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's not a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when people are like posting like incriminating stuff too. That was always a big thing. Mm-hmm. Like look at my Glock with the switch.
Yes.
Or look at this fat stack of cash with weed or other drugs. It's like, dog, you're making an incriminating footprint quite literally for a court case right now. You're posting the evidence for them.
You're making it very easy, sir.
If you're trying to hustle on the streets, I respect that. But real G's move in silence like lasagna.
Yeah, if you're out there trapping, just remember, trap in peace. Trap with your homies. Facebook don't need to know you're trapping.
Facebook don't need to move.
The IRS don't need to know you're trapping.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah, super strange, man.
Very odd.
Yes.
Very odd time to be alive.
All the stolen like military gear, like that was supposed to be demolished, go to Dermo or whatever, and it obviously never makes it there. Fell off a truck, whatever.
Right.
Like, yeah, check this out, bro. I just got this optic that only was sold to the military, and oh, by the way, here's a serial number on it. Like, bro, like why don't you just call CID and tell them to come out? Like,
yeah.
I don't deal in that stuff because there's just too much liability in that. And to be quite frank with you, I mean, I like some of the clone guns and I like some of that really cool stuff, but it's just not worth it. Like they're cool, but it's not cool enough for me to be like.
It's not cool enough to deal with the feds.
Yeah, it's just, and it sucks because, it's cool stuff. Like a lot of it's very cool stuff, and it's so readily available out there, but it's just like, it's just not worth it. Now, for somebody who doesn't have a job of having a presence on social media, just don't talk about it, bro. Just don't talk about it. Just keep it to yourself.
Live your life without an audience.
Yes.
If you have a bunch of cool gray zone, how did you acquire this?
Mm-hmm.
What's the legality? Is that the right barrel length? Don't talk about it on social media. In fact, don't talk about it at all. Enjoy your stuff in silence.
Right.
Don't flex it. Mm-hmm. It's a bad idea. You can get away with a lot. Mm-hmm. As a former cop, let me tell you what, you can get away with a lot. You can probably drive around with a dead body in your trunk for a bit before it starts to smell.
This is not legal advice.
This is definitely not legal advice, and I do not want to get subpoenaed to a court case, okay?
Well, admin said I could do it.
A lot. I'm not saying you should. There's morality involved in this. You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Some.
A little bit. Two YouTubers address ancient societies and morality.
Politics and sex.
Politics and sex.
Rough, man. It's rough out there in them streets, bro.
It is very rough out in them streets.
I used to work with this dude. So I was in the car business for a while. Right after I got out of college, I went into sales. I didn't want to. It's just I always liked trucks.
Yeah.
Just grew up around trucks in like a farming community, and like Ford trucks were cool.
Yeah. Well, hold on. When you were 4, what was your personality? Was it space, dinosaurs, trains, or was it trucks?
I was a big dinosaur guy.
Yeah.
Loved Jurassic Park.
Same.
Clever girl. I can remember that scene so vividly. Even like before like I was super interested in guns, like just him, the most iconic shotgun scene of all time. Mm-hmm. It's him unpopping that stock. And just I was just getting ready and just clever girl.
Planting the seeds to be a future gun artist.
Love dinosaurs, man. Dinosaurs.
So I didn't want to tangent off too hard. I was just trying to see if that was like a tie-in to the future you. But you were saying you're working with a guy selling trucks, right?
Oh yeah. So because you had said something, we were talking about it's getting rough out there. Well, I was in sales there. I did that for about 7 years, 7 years, and I started off as a sales consultant and ended up getting promoted to sales manager and ran a Ford sales floor, which is really cool. Very interesting job. It's a professional firefighter and putting out fires that salespeople just like lied to people.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, you don't, in today's age, you don't need to lie to people to sell cars. Yeah. Like you used to back in the day, people would just straight up lie. Like the plaid jacket salesman, bro.
Yeah.
Like
the greasy.
Yes. Yeah. So when I'd first gotten into the business, man, I'm not going to say his name because it's probably incriminating. I don't know if statute of limitations or whatever. So we'll call him Emo. He was the last of the old breed when it came to car salesmen. Like that had been so phased out. Yeah. But he's like the typical plaid jacket salesman, bro. Had the chest fro, had the gold chain, smoked probably 47 cigarettes a day. Like his voice was torn. Yeah. It's funny, dude. He would, Saturdays would always be a big day in the car business because normal people had the day off, not us. Yeah. And you'd come in real early Saturday and he'd be hungover, but he drove like a 79 Lincoln Continental, one of the huge boat cars. Yeah. And he'd be sitting on the back, like the trunk with the trunk lit up, lifting weights. Getting a pump on, player. It's like, morning, player. Every morning.
It sounds like you're describing Will Ferrell as like a car salesman.
I mean, basically, yeah, like it, kind of like semi-pro-esque, that kind of character, if you will. I mean, that's how he was. It's like literally how he was, emo. Yeah. He's just morning player. It's just like, what? He would, so it's called the desk, where the GM or GSM, the general sales manager, the top of the food chain when it comes to the sales floor. You'd go back to him when a customer was ready to buy a car and you just kind of need to figure out like, is there a monthly payment we need to get to? Like if they need to be $400 a month on this car. You say, okay, if I get to that, will you buy it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Let me go back to my manager real quick, make sure it happened. And he would go back there, bro, and he'd be like chewing on Oxycontin. And Oxycontin and Adderall, but I think it was Ritalin. I think it was Ritalin, that was his flavor. But he'd just like stick his tongue out like, It's like, what? I mean, this dude was rough, bro. Yeah. But, it's weird because that's like how it was. And he was the last of those people. Yeah. There's two crazy stories with this dude, and then he just got ran out. First story. Guy goes in to buy a car an older couple goes in to buy a car for their kids, and it's like they wanted like a Ford Focus, and they were having like the carnival tent sales. They had the balloons up and everything, and bumps into Emo. Emo's just like, oh yeah, we'll get you a Ford Focus. He's like, well, he wants a 4-door, but he's like, oh, we ain't got no 4-doors in stock, but we got this 2-door over here. But don't sweat it. We'll get it on a due bill, and we'll get you 2 more doors for that car. We'll put them on here for you free of charge. You just buy the car here today, and you'll be fine.
That doesn't sound like a thing.
Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know anything about cars, that's not a possible thing, just to add 2 doors to a car. But he wrote it up on a due bill, and a due bill is like a legit contract of like saying like, we are going to give you this. We are legally bound to give you this at the end of a deal. Like whether it's not like we got to get him floor mats, we owe him $1,000, whatever. And he says, but that's the next part. He says, but you got to come back in about a month because it takes a little bit of time to get them in from factory. So this old couple comes in, bro. They're like, they go back to parts department and they're like, hey, we need our 2 doors. Yeah. And the guy's like, what? Like, yeah. Mr. Emo, or I'm using his voice because I can hear him saying, he's like, our salesman Emo, he told us that we get 2 doors for our Ford Focus and get them put on today. Just like, what? By this time, he was long gone. Yeah. Next story. Oh my gosh, this dude is crazy. This customer, they came in, they wanted to be at like $275 a month, let's say, on a brand new car. And that's really hard to do. Even back then in 2014, that was pretty hard to do. Basically, you needed to be at like $15,000. And there weren't really $15,000 cars back in then. Yeah. And they say, well, I need to be $275 a month. I said, oh, okay. It was like, well, we got 84-month terms and stuff like that. We'll get you all squared away on that. And it's like, no, I'm not financing the car any longer than 48 months. And he's like, that ain't gonna work. Do the math. Like, you do the math. Ain't gonna work. So he goes back Gets everything all done. And he says, don't sweat it. I got it all done. Don't ask me how I made it happen. We took money from here. We did. And he's like operating on his own. Like he's bypassing management and stuff to get all of this stuff done. Like they don't even know about this stuff. He's just doing this all on his own because he's just going to blow out here soon, roll out. So gets it all done, signs all the paperwork on it and everything like that. The customers do. They come back, they get their payment book in the mail. And there's 84 payments in the payment book. Like, and they said, no, I will not do anything more than 48 months. Yeah. So they come back in and they are hot. They are bothered, bro. And rightfully so. Sure. They're like, you've got 84 months in here. We'll just raise in hell.
Yeah.
And he's, hey, don't sweat it. I'll take care of it. Let me see that payment book. Takes the payment book, goes in the bathroom, rips out like 4 years of payments to get it down to 48 months, rips them out, throws them away, hands it back to him, says, took care of that for you. Don't sweat it. Just like, what? When they came back in and finally found it out, they had a lawyer. Yeah, but he was long. He's long gone.
I mean, did he get killed by the mob for his poker debts? That's what it sounds like.
Probably. I mean, no, he's still alive. He's alive to this day. I'm pretty sure. Every once in a while, my old boss will get a text from him. He's like, "Roads get rough out here, player. Roads get rough out here, player, for us old men." He's like always trying to hit him up for a job, because he just go around in like the carnival traveling shows and like go to dealerships and help them sell out a bunch of cars and bounce. That's who he was. And that's kind of to bring it all back home, man. He's just like always like, roads getting rough out here, player. You got any good leads for an old man like me?
Hey, young buck.
It's just, that's emo, bro. Wild, dude.
If I knew like someone did that to my like old parents, I would probably hold them like upside down along like an overpass. Like, what are you doing? That's not a good idea. There's much scarier people that know those people out there, dude.
Oh yeah. I mean, all of those deals ended up corrected. I mean, we took the car back for the Ford Focus. I mean, and just completely just unwrapped the whole deal.
Yeah, you have to unfoobar his big mistakes.
Yeah, I can't remember what happened with the 84-month one. I want to say we just like steeply discounted the car, like to a point where like we lost probably like $5-10 grand on it.
Yeah.
And I think got bumped them to like 60 months because it was like a new F-150, bro. Like, that's back then, it was like $600 a month car. Yeah. Today you're not getting out of there probably like $1,200 a month. The longest term possible, man. Ooh. I know.
Yeah. Pause real quick. I'm gonna use the restroom. Zeke, our podcast producer, forgot to put in the Dune bucket. It's a staple of the show now, so I had to go grab that as well as use the restroom. Greasy car salesmen are something that I hate more than anything in this life. If there was a nation, a country of greasy, if there was a nation of greasy car salesmen, right, and they had some sort of like rise to power and they were just causing trouble, I would be the first one to volunteer on the Higgins boat to storm their goddamn beaches, dude. I would say, you know what? Actually, give me the flamethrower. Yeah. Give me the flamethrower. Yeah. I'm storming that beach. I'm going to torch greasy car salesmen. Yes. Yeah, they'll be in their bunker like, brr, 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 you want a great deal? Brr, I'll roll up.
Satchels.
Satchel.
Salesman in the open.
Bangalore, clear the shingles. Hey, kid, you want to try and get this great deal? I can finance it for
Dude, I'll get you such a great deal. How compelling. Face the wall.
Compelling. Look, I got him a great deal.
What'd he say?
What'd he say?
Look, I'm trying to rob you.
If there was a country like that existed, and there probably is.
It's kind of funny because I did feel a little... not scummy, but I felt like I was more of a value sponge because, like, again, you didn't need to lie to people to sell a car. In fact, it only complicated the process. Like, and a lot, especially when I was a manager, like, they just didn't understand that. Like, salespeople didn't understand that. Like, they had this predetermined notion that they got to be slime. I need to be a slime ball.
I don't get that.
Yeah, I need to be a slime ball in order to be successful and make the most money. When in fact. I mean, back in the day, that might have worked, But here's the thing. If you F somebody over, you only get to do that one time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're never going to do that again. They know it. In fact, they're never going to be back. They're like, God, I remember they F'd me $3,500 worth. And it's just like, what's the point in that? Like, I would much rather, and I had a really good stint in the car business, was very successful with it until COVID happened, and just like, oh, that was a nightmare. Until the great sickness of 2020 happened.
Yes.
That was a nightmare. That's when I got out. But it was just, it's incredible what the mental gymnastics of some of the salespeople would do, bro. It was just incredible. And especially when I became into management, it was just like, I felt like I didn't even get to do any, like, and build those cool personal relations. Like, I've still got some friends, a guy named Chris Mueller, I still talk to every once in a while. I sold him a truck back in, goodness, probably 2015, 2016, probably. Nicest dude in the world, man. Just like super cool, down to earth, great guy. I still talk to him every once in a while. But when I became a manager, I never got to do that because I was always the bad guy, because I was having to stick up for a salesperson that had caused a fire or just either didn't follow up with their customer about they needed something, or just straight up lied. Something that would happen relatively often is customers would come in, they'd want a 4-wheel drive vehicle, because us being in the north, we get a lot of snow, and 4-wheel drive is a very nice thing to have. Out in Arizona, if you're not doing outroad, if you're not doing off-roading, you don't need it at all.
No.
Well, a lot of the cars, like SUVs in particular, they'd be marked FWD. What? That's 4-wheel drive? No, it's front-wheel drive. It's also like a $4,500 option to get 4-wheel drive in a lot of these cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's FWD. That's 4-wheel drive. You know how many times I had to explain to people, like, I am so sorry for this terrible inconvenience. We'll get you out of this car. We'll get you on the exact same, and it'll be 4-wheel drive. Your payments and price will be the exact same. And we just have to eat that.
Yeah.
We would eat that. And
you have to go haze your salesman for that. Be like, hey, I am going to murder you in a back alley after this.
You try and make it like a good learning moment, and because if you did your job right, putting out the fire, you could save the relationship with the customer, and they'd be like, okay, well, yeah, there was a really bad misunderstanding or something like that, and we are apologizing for it. We are going to make it right. We're going to get you the 4-wheel drive, and we're going to eat the cost of the difference, and we're going to keep it exactly the same. And that's literally what you had to do. That's just what you had to do.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, they'd be like, sorry about your luck. What are you going to do? Like, should have been better. Gotcha.
To be fair, I feel like a salesman being like, yeah, that's 4-wheel drive. The guy that works at the car store, that'd be like a gun store employee being like, oh, yeah, that's the 7.62. Which one?
Yeah.
Which 7.62 is it?
By 5.4. I was trying to think of an oddball 7.62 caliber. I couldn't remember. I couldn't think of any. What is an oddball 7.62? It's 3.9, 5.1, 5.4.
Which one's 300 blackout? 300 blackout's a 7.62. Is it by 38?
It is a 30 cal pill. I don't know what it is. Probably give you one.
Yeah.
But yeah, super interesting, man. But that was an interesting little career. Just takes a lot of your time, man. A lot of your time.
Well, it's a 7.62 by 35.
That is an interesting one.
My bad.
That is an interesting one.
My brain, like, people think that if you're a big gun guy, like all the weird little numbers. My brain can only hold so much knowledge. And I've been dumping so much knowledge just for niche warbow or longbow info. Yeah. It's a pain, man.
It is, man. It is. I mean, like, again, it kind of comes with that little bit of tism,
Yeah.
I mean, just for instance, like when we were talking about and planning out which guns I needed to bring out for this.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I got the M110K7, and then I got the M110K1, I got an M110A3, and I got a regular M110. And you're like, bro, what's the difference? And it's like I think I sent that to you. I was like, what's the matter? Like, you didn't remember 870 different models? Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Be better.
Yeah. Do better. Yeah, that's a big thing. Is like, that's another thing too, is like with my interest, it's almost like playing a video game where it's like, if I don't have an interest in a certain thing, if I don't go down, like, I know, of course, the M110, but if I don't go down the deep rabbit hole, I'm not going to know like all the variants. Like it's just not happening.
Yeah.
I have to really be like, it's like unlocking a new part of the map because that part of the map's blacked out. It's not there yet.
Yeah. And all you did was just fly over it, and that's what you unlocked, Yeah. You
Yeah.
didn't actually go down and, ditch your aircraft, parachute down, and go explore the city of San Andreas.
I did not, dude.
Yeah, it is interesting. They kind of, I don't know. A lot of people too, like when you talk about when you say you need to know everything and they expect you to know everything. And it's like a lot of times, because I'm pretty active on those Facebook groups, and that's kind of how I actually got my start. Like I got to like 10,000 subscribers really fast, but getting to 100,000 felt like forever. But I kind of hit those core groups and got those people quick, and because they really enjoyed it, and I was trying my best to make it interesting. And it seems like they really enjoyed it and liked the content. And now it's kind of to the point where somebody who's like on my team and like really enjoys my content, they will like tag me in a controversial post and like, want me to like be on their team and fight with their opinion. And sometimes, a lot of times they're right. They're like, yeah, I get that. But also too, like as a professional fence sitter that I am, and try not to make anybody upset, I'm just kind of like, I just hope both teams had fun.
Hey, you guys have a good time. I'm going to enjoy my farm and my range.
Yeah, I don't know. Internet's a toxic place, brother.
Internet's great. The internet gun space is crazy, dude. There is definitely a bell curve. When I first started, I thought I knew a lot about guns. And then when I really got into it, I was like, I feel like I know nothing about guns. Like the more I learned, the more I realized truly how stupid I am.
Yeah. It is
uphill battle.
It is an uphill battle. And a lot of times you will learn something and become a low-key little like subject expert,
Sure.
And a few months go by and you're like, dude, I knew this. I knew this at one point, but it's because now you're 110% invested in a slightly different thing. And it's like, I don't even remember, bro. Like,
well, stuff will happen where it's like a test where like you dump all the info after you do your video. So it's like you learn, like you'll spend X amount of time depending on how heavy you want to go, right? Depending on how in depth. You spend all the time researching, doing the learning, and then once it comes time to film, you dump all that info, and then you're like, oh, I got it out of my system. And people will ask you a question if it's like reference back to that video, maybe in the future, and you're like, oh, reference the video. I don't know. I don't know.
Here's the link, man.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah. It's tough. It's really tough to hold on to like all the nuanced information because it's a lot, dude. People like there's like this different iterations, different manufacturers, stuff like that. Like, okay, this manufacturer did this with the barrel versus this manufacturer did this with the bolt. I mean, a lot of the stuff's not sexy info to like at least honestly to me, where it's like, okay, this is like really cool nitty gritty stuff, but it's like to me, it's like I just want cool gun, shoot gun.
Yeah,
I'm a simpleton.
I'm the same way, man. And it's kind of funny because when I first started doing my videos, they were like 3 to 6 minutes long, my videos. And mainly because what I wanted to see and what I thought was interesting about guns is what I did. And what was most interesting to me was seeing the guns get shot, hearing the guns, seeing what they looked like during the recoil impulse, just seeing them all kitted out. So it was just visual. Like I wanted to see that. If I wanted to know something about it, I would just Google it. I didn't want to listen about facts. I wanted to find that myself if I was interested in that. And so like my first videos, I was just like that. That was the focus. And I would say like, yeah, it's a cool gun, man. Shot really well, no malfunctions, and it's very smooth.
Yep.
That was probably the end of it. And then a lot of people would say like, hey, man, I really wish you would kind of talk more about these guns and tell us about them. I was like, you guys would think that's interesting? Because I'll do that. Like, but I was like, I just don't want to bore you guys to death. Like, and finding that perfect balance of boring them to death and still making it look cool and interesting.
Yeah,
it's a fine line.
Dude. It's tough. We live in a time. The TikTok era is definitely in full swing, dude. It is very hard. The war for the attention span.
I hope they ban it.
Please God, ban. Please God, if you're out there. The TikTok, like it's so competitive now for the attention span. The YouTube videos that would have crushed years ago, like some of the stuff we make, just are like considered boring now. It's the nature of the beast, dude.
The thing of it is like there is so much content out there, but there's a lot of quality content as well, and the bar continues to get set higher and higher and higher. So Like, I mean, I wasn't doing anything filmography or any video YouTubes back in, let's say, 2015.
Yeah.
But there was a handful of people that were kind of doing GunTubing and like doing that, hardcore. And if you look at and watch those videos, like it's very low production quality and very low production just in general. Like, it was a dude with a camera. And you can't do that now because like that's not it. And
our iPhones are all better than those cameras were.
Unreal what iPhones can do. I mean, even just the mics on them, like they don't overload, and stuff like that. Like they actually sound. Yeah, you can hear the difference between 2 5.56 carbines. Like it's kind of interesting. Like, oh yeah, that's definitely 11.5, or like that's definitely a 20-inch. The hollow, and whatever.
I'm gonna use that for when I shoot the 20-inch now. And it's,
it's super interesting. It's the bar is set really high, so you really have to do your best to try and make it interesting and also get closer and closer to looking like a movie. But also, too, I feel like there's also that appreciation of the prosumer, if you will, infotainment style that, there's not the best editing. That doesn't look like it came out of Saving Private Ryan. And I kind of like that, like people enjoy that still.
It's at the end of the day, it's still YouTube. And I think one thing we often get wrapped up in as YouTubers is chasing the movie dragon, trying to get everything perfect, getting the best shots. At the end of the day, it's still like just dudes hanging out, having fun.
Yeah.
And that's like, if I wanted to watch Saving Private Ryan, you can go watch Saving Private Ryan. You know what I mean? But you can't watch us LARP around and make jokes because we're not controlled by a studio. We can say whatever we want. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
We can have a bit of reckless fun. I mean, shooting live guns on a movie set, that's like not a thing,
Have you ever seen that Alec Baldwin Rust
That's
movie?
kind of a thing. It's like a one-time thing. It's not supposed to happen because there's supposed to be like a bunch of safety levels so these actors don't kill each other. Meanwhile, we could be out there shooting at ourselves, having a good time.
I heard some YouTubers had a MG42 buzzsaw just ripping rounds over his head. Wouldn't that be crazy if somebody did that?
Could you imagine how nuts that would be? The crack of the MG42 round coming in. I could never imagine. Apparently he wore a balaclava for a bit.
Sounds like an idiot.
Yeah, it sounds like a real dummy. What an idiot.
Gosh. Yeah, that's...
I have more street cred than Captain Miller, or I should say Tom Hanks. I have more street cred than Tom Hanks.
Well, I mean, he did go to Epstein Island, so,
That's true.
We don't... It's kind of a shame because I always liked Tom Hanks as an actor, man. But seen him on the flight records, and it's like that one kind of hurt. No, it kind of hurt because it's like kind of thought of him as this wise man. Especially every role he's played, he's always been kind of like a wise man. Other than Forrest Gump, of course, but even then, like he was still dumb wise.
Yeah.
I mean, he even says it himself. It's like I'm not a smart man, Janae.
Yeah.
But, but I do know what love is.
Shane Gillis has an excellent observation of Tom Hanks, always playing like the morally correct historical character in all of his movies that involve history, where he for a time when this was not the norm, he's always playing the dude that's like very, very counterculture. Like he's like kind to like a lot of people. Like he's not like racist or anything, which is like okay. You don't want to be racist.
But he apparently likes little kids.
Yeah, apparently likes little kids. But he's like that's
Allegedly.
like his constant movie role, So I thought that was kind of a funny bit.
That's true. Getting back to like the attention span thing. What's interesting is podcast consumption is through the roof. It's never been higher, and it continuously just gets higher and higher and higher. I feel like that's also interesting too because there's shorts and like the TikToks and everything, the reels that you got to capture the first 3 seconds. If you don't capture in that first 3 seconds, it's over. And, but then you also see the success with podcasts. And that's not like an intention thing. Like you can't, it's complete opposite of what reels are. Reels are like, cool, next. Cool, next.
Yeah.
Versus a podcast, a 2-hour podcast, like that requires legitimate attention span and a legitimate interest in that. You get in your car, you drive to work, you listen to half of it on the way to work, half of it on the way back or whatever, It's kind of interesting that that's still being consumed. So things like, the very successful podcast, Joe Rogan, all those guys, it's very interesting to see that being consumed at such an incredible rate because It's the exact opposite of TikTok. Exact opposite. I wonder why that is.
Probably more authenticity. And then I think it's just like you're expecting to get more out of it, maybe.
Yeah.
I would play devil's advocate and say I think a lot of podcast listening is like very passive, where it's people want to throw something on that's just some white noise. Yeah. And if you happen to be like, oh, I like this YouTuber, I like this podcast or creator, toss them on, you can listen, and then in the meantime you can watch your shorts while they're talking. Yeah, they'll be talking. You're kind of like, at this point, how far are we? At this point, that you guys probably watched like 20 shorts while we're talking. So
yeah, it's it is interesting. It's like easy listening. It's you watch The Office. Mm-hmm. It's kind of fun, actually. It's I read a joke once. It was talking about, do you watch The Office versus like, have you watched The Office? Have you seen Breaking Bad? Yeah. It's like, do you watch The Office? Like, it's an ongoing activity and it's an ongoing thing, like a sport almost. But oh my God, I totally forgot where I was going with that.
Are you trying to get to The Office is like just passive, comfy listening?
Yes. So like the passive comfy thing, like it's just white noise. Like it's just kind of like a comfort show. Like you know what's happening. You know what to expect out of each character, whatever. You've seen it 15 times. That's kind of like, I could see podcasts being like that. Like, you can kind of tune out, then you hear like a buzzword that you're real interested in, and you're like, oh.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, because by now the audience knows I'm probably going to reference like English longbows, at some point in the podcast. So if they're an English longbow guy, they can at least stick around for something,
right?
And talk about how it wiped out the French nobility class at the Battle of Agincourt while they were doom scrolling, and they could perk up real quick. Oh, hey, got it. He did the thing. Cool, back down. If that's you, I appreciate you. I totally agree, because it's like you're chilling at home in your living room, throw on The Office, get on your doom scroll, interacting on the medias, doing your thing. Oh, hey, Dwight's funny jokes coming up. Boom, caught it. Back to the doom scroll. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you get so good at it sometimes that you know exactly what's happening in that whatever show that you're watching, that easy listening, easy background kind of thing. You know what's happening and you can just track it, but you're also totally not engaged with it, but you know exactly where it's at, because you're like, it's coming.
It's exactly like our audience right now. They can tell that two idiots are trying to have a conversation, punching way above their academic level about multiple topics. And they know that, they're going to get, something's coming where they're going to try and crack a joke. Not going to be that good. It's a work in progress. But at least, hey, they tried. It's like watching, the special ed kids figure something out.
Just a Z-list YouTuber, man, trying to make it in this A-list world.
It's tough, dude. Tough in them streets. Cody got really mad at me off camera because I used his wrong name in multiple videos throughout filming. What happened was a Mandela effect, where I thought his last name had an L in it, but it's just Curry, not Clury. and I said M110 SASS actual, but apparently it's just 110 SASS actual. There's no M.
No.
So I'm sorry. So the M and the L,
totally
I don't
cool,
know where it came from. I just want to publicly apologize.
No, it's totally cool. Like, I mean, like when you said it the other day, I was like, I didn't even correct you, because I was like,
you know what? Actually, I'm mad. I want you to apologize to me for not correcting me.
That's really what it was, guys. Yeah. I wasn't mad about it, but he was just, mad at himself for being.
That's what it is. Dude.
He's just, everything's right in line, talking about the high.
You're telling me you bring this guy from Ohio and you can't even say his name right?
Unreal.
An idiot.
Unreal. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Really do.
Yeah. Sorry about that, dude.
That's totally cool, bro.
I'm sorry about that.
Totally cool, man. I ain't sweating too bad. A lot of things in life that probably could, make me upset or something, but I'm just like, dude, it's not even worth worrying about. Obviously, that is nowhere near the level of things that should make a person worry. Like the dude who just road raged on me earlier. Like, I didn't even know what I did wrong. It's just like, I guess he's just having a bad day, man.
He's just going through it, man. He needed to get, you were his therapist.
Yeah.
His traffic therapist.
I was kind of happy to be there for him, honestly.
He needed to vent to you.
Yeah. He did look really worried, though, when I pulled my pistol out to show it to him and show that off. Like, I was like, hey, you're having a bad day. Look at this really cool gun.
Look how cool this gun is.
So strange that he thought that was, like,
weird.
Yeah, he sped up. It's like he didn't want to look at it. I was like, well, okay, fine, weirdo.
Yeah, I don't mind if people want to vent to me in road rage, but the problem is if you vent to me in road rage too hard, I may have to ventilate you.
Little emergency tracheotomy.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch that clip back in the court case in the future. I'm gonna be on the stand.
Exhibit A.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on the stand, sitting here watching this podcast back, dude. And the prosecutor's gonna be like, "You see, good people of the jury, when Mr. Visconti over here said this, ventilate you. Oh yeah, and that we're doing a road rage, homicide.
Yeah, man.
They're not gonna play this last part. So it's fine. There's not gonna be good context. It won't be like meta funny, where it's like, see, I called it, I'll have to be like, can you play the rest of that clip for me, please? Yeah.
Wait, you were just getting to the good part. Can you just keep rolling? Yeah. It's like, oh,
I called this one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Oh, shoot, man. Yeah.
Well, I would call this a successful. How long was it? Hour and a half of chit chatting, being chatty Cathy's, talking about the tubes.
Love me some gossip.
Talking about the semi-automatic sniper system, a little bit, not too heavy in depth. Talking about ancient civilizations. We are going to get out of here. Cody, where can they find you, man?
So YouTube, it's 110 SASS Actual, not M110 SASS Actual. No, I'm teasing. It's 110 SASS Actual. Find it on Instagram too as well. Just some tomfoolery, high tier shenanigans, man. Just having a good time with it, and hope to see you there. Yeah, thanks. And thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun out here. We don't want to have to talk about what happened the other night, because I'm still not walking right, so we'll just keep that to ourselves.
We don't want to talk about that. Keep it off air. All right, gentlemen. Catch you later.